Welcome to another episode of Big Talk. Today we are lucky enough to have with us Dr. Jassim Haji, who is, in my opinion, the godfather of AI, not just in Bahrain, but in the Middle East, if not beyond the Middle East. There are so many questions I have to ask him. I think there is so many information and knowledge that we can take from what he has personally experienced and is involved in. So without further ado, Doctor, how are you?
Fine, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
We're really honored to have you over here. I'm always tracking you on LinkedIn and Instagram to see what you're doing, what you're posting, because it really is exciting. Even more so in the times that we're living in right now. As I'm sure everybody is aware, the AI, what we used to joke about before, or we likely say AI now has become something we're trying to catch up. It's the start of it. We haven't even really entered that field. But tell us, what have you been involved in so far in terms of, how has your progression happened? And share with us some of the experiences and the things that you're involved in and the things that you're in charge, actually, when it comes to this field.
Well, AI for me was a continuation journey of the technology field, which I've been working over 30 years. So, and it's ironic, sometimes people get into AI and want to talk about it, but without a real technical background. And that becomes a little bit challenging. It becomes a little bit misguiding to others. So myself, many others who've been working in the technology have adapted to AI by believing in the future, by following the patterns. Of course, the pattern is all about AI. AI predicts the patterns, but you have to predict the AI by using the AI, if you like.
Yeah, but how long can you do that? Because at one point, the AI is going to come and predict us and tell us.
It was amazing that a few days ago, I've seen a video, somebody in GCC was talking about, in one of the lectures, how AI is going to be done in 2050. And I had one question to him is, if you can tell me how is AI next year, then I'll be very much obliged. So there is no way anybody can predict that far. No way anybody can predict even next year. Even the people who are hands-on, the people who are manufacturing and developing it, how many times they've been wrong-footed by the innovations, by the new AI, if you like, products that they came out. Going back to your original question, follow on that is, as I said, I've been doing technology all my life, but in 2017, which is like 8 years ago, taken more interest on AI and started working on a book at the time.
Yes,
which eventually came out in 2000, end of 18 and 19, and it was called AI Future of the Humanity.
Yes.
ذكاء اصطناعي مستقبل البشرية.
Yes.
And that was over 7 years ago.
Yeah, before its time.
Before its time.
I'm sure a lot of people buying it now.
But I was lucky that when I presented it to many of their highnesses and excellencies at the time, the ministers, they all encouraged me and believed in it. Those are the people also visionaries. They're not necessarily were technical people. So, of course, we established a society at the time, and many people couldn't believe that it's going to succeed. Bahrain AI Society, and I was president. Then we also developed another bigger community called International Group of Artificial Intelligence, which is consisting of over 38 countries, over 700 members, again, talking about AI, and I'm also president there. I've also taken a leading role in many universities by being in the advisory board and chairman of the advisory board to advise them on the students, on the guidelines. Of course, also executive advisor to His Highness Sheikh Nasser, AI Research and Development Center, and many other responsibilities, but all related to AI. And I believe in life, if you want to succeed, you cannot just jump from one specialty to another overnight and just follow the trends. If you stick to what you believe in, eventually you will succeed. The bigger part is if you contribute to the country,
Right.
to the will of the people and the country and what the country has given you, without expecting any return. I think end of the day, you will see that you will live a peaceful life because you have no expectations.
Right.
So if anybody comes and says thank you, he says, okay, that's a bonus. But if they don't, but if you have expectations, that's the problem when people struggle, fight, what is in it for me if I do something? But it's not. It's all for the.
I couldn't agree with you more. I also live by that mantra. I mean, always give more than you get, and also don't expect anything. Now, in terms of becoming knowledgeable, isn't there a saying like 1,000 hours of something that makes you a little bit professional or more experienced than anything else? So I think you've exceeded the 1,000 hours in the AI field, Doctor. I truly believe you are, as I said in the intro of this video, the most advanced individual, not that I know of, that everybody in Bahrain knows of when it comes to this field. Now, as you rightly said, and as the fact that you're involved in so many of these different organizations, some of them internationally, which is actually very good for us here in Bahrain to have somebody like you involved in that, because AI is an international thing. It's not something that's discovered, regionally, although it's been maybe manufactured or initiated in certain parts, but definitely it's a global thing. Having people from Bahrain involved in such things will only add value to us here in the region, of course, in our country. But now, what is AI? I mean, I know it's a silly question. I'm asking you this, but in all honesty, AI has changed. It's no longer, we've always had intelligence in electronics. We've always had devices that were intelligent, but now it's become where they're self-intelligent. And now it's even more, they're learning themselves. I mean, I heard, and I don't know how true this is, but one of the AI inventions in Google, they had to unplug the system because the AI started reprogramming its own program. And it started communicating with other AI and without human intervention, to where they had to now unplug it. And this is now 2025 or 2024. I can only imagine what's happening. Forget 5 years of 2050. This 2026, 2027 is too long, in fact. So, how much of this is true? How much of this should we be concerned about? I mean, I have so many questions, but we need to talk.
Yeah, you are right. Even Meta, the Facebook, they made 2 robots a few years ago, when they started talking to each other with the different languages and conspiring against the developers to switch it off. Another problem with communities who talk about AI, or the people who speak about AI, I mean, of course, anybody can speak about it. It's good. It's positive that we all share ideas. But the problem is the focus is on controversial, on the issues, on the negatives. One out of 70,000 development of a product goes wrong. People focus on that one incident.
Okay.
You've given a right example, but that's not necessarily fact.
Right.
You can't have a perfection. On autonomous cars, there was always a debate. What if the car comes and sees an old woman and a woman with a baby and had to choose between them? I mean, what kind of selection is that?
What would a human do?
Exactly, probably knock them both.
Yes.
But we forget the superiority of the AI intelligence over human. So when you criticize AI, you have to have an alternative. And if the human alternative is by far not an option anymore, then you have to live with an AI that keeps developing and moving forward. It is a fact that so far, I wouldn't say an obsolete, but by vast majority, there hasn't been any transformation from human to AI that has reversed back to human. So in a sense, when you take, for instance, certain autonomous actions in the company, robotics, that you put AI replacing a human and the human sidelines, you don't go back in 6 months or 1 year and say, no, I think it was better, and we go back. It has never happened. So it is an indication that we go in there, people criticizing it, but we're not coming back. So whatever people are want to say about it, they can. But this is the future. This is how we're going. And the AI, as you rightly said, the definitions has changed. Maybe the original definition will still be there. I always call it in a simplified way. That's mimicking human being.
Right.
So mimicking now has many meanings to it. Mimicking means repeating. But nowadays, mimicking does not necessarily go to that elementary AI topology. It means autonomous now. Mimicking autonomously. So autonomously means you teach it and it will take decisions. It will understand the environment, human communications, and it will react in a way that you are not in control. I mean, in control, because sometimes people take a negative way that it's out of control. No, when you're not in control means somebody who's making decisions better than you. So that's what it means.
Now, you said teach it, and this makes me think, like, who's teaching it? And who's to say that he's a good teacher, that teacher? Now, let's just take humans, for example. Somebody who studies and goes to college in US or Europe or Australia or Saudi is going to have a different background and understanding, maybe even culturally, language, than somebody. I mean, there are different places that you can go learn as humans and acquire different knowledge. Depends on the teacher, depends on the school, depends on the country itself. How does AI work? I mean, who's teaching it and who has the right to teach it? Is it just the person who invented it, or is it now invented and then a group of professionals such as yourself have a group where you all contribute some kind of elements, be it culturally, be it language-based? How does it learn?
Well, it's in different ways. I mean, people perceive that there is a person who's teaching AI, and this is commonly repeated. And if we teach AI, then how can it be more clever than us? Well, that's the comparison you do to people.
Right.
You know, you can say, well, I'm bringing an employee and I taught him, so he cannot be better than me. In terms of human, that maybe not true. But when it comes to AI, don't forget, it is learning with algorithms from vast ways that it can collect data and learn from. So it learns from you, it learns from the data that have an API and an interface to another system. It can learn from other repeated, similarly used. I mean, look at the GPTs that's been used.
Right.
How can you, and if you think of it, DeepSeek, what is it? What has it done in a simple way? It has outsmart ChatGPT, which it learned from it.
So it's basically learned from ChatGPT.
Of course, the data, I mean, they don't have their own data. They have the Chinese data.
Right.
But the data is the sources. Of course, they're not conceding to that, but that's the same thing. You know, they use the same data. They use the same processing power, that is GPU, graphic processing units, that is used by them as well. But they done it in a smarter way with the logic that they use. They use the GPU in a lesser intensive way so that the cost is lower. So they spend OpenAI $1 billion.
Yeah.
And that's on the record. And they spend 5.6 million.
Yeah, but they wouldn't be able to do that 5.6 million had ChatGPT didn't do the 1 billion.
Of course. But that's history.
Yes,
it doesn't matter.
Yes.
You know, if moving forward doesn't matter. So that's like human. If you teach AI or group of people, then you are history. You taught it, you contributed, that's yesterday. Today you have no value because you no longer need it to teach AI for certain things. Maybe up to certain level, certain supervisory, but you are obsolete, as simple as that. So these are the hard facts that probably we are overseeing as AI, and the scientists keeps developing it. But the power is you started, and that it by itself grows and it learns. And of course, it brings challenges to others to improve it. That's why I said at the beginning, people who talk about 50 years or 20 or 1 year, they are in the wrong places. Look at the European Union. And by end of 22, the first ones that they came up with legislations, as you know, they call it EU Act. And, maybe in Europe, they like a lot of documentations than the action. Whereas Americans and Chinese,
Yes.
they go into it
Yes,
and
yes.
develop it and think about that later. So they have put it, and they were ready to come up with it. So what happened in November 22 when ChatGPT OpenAI came up? They were wrong-footed. So they have put that legislation on the side. They said, well, we didn't think about that.
All that money and all that effort and all that
exactly.
research.
So they had delayed it, and it came up last year. March.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah,
that much
that's
delayed.
a new version.
Yeah.
And
How long would that last? Because it's going to change.
Yeah, end of the day, it's something very high level.
All right.
It is very high level guidelines. How much you can hold people accountable to it, especially when you're talking about the intelligence. Easily going to go around that legislation. It may use as a guidelines to some people to explain what they do, to be accountable. But then, how much do you explain and how much you are accountable, and you're explaining to whom, and how much that explanation is understood by the other parties. It's like talking about a legislator who's a layman and explainer who's an expert.
It is challenging both for regulating it and for actually even trying to implement it to the average person in their daily lives. Now, I've dabbled in it and I do use it, and it's really impressive. And this is, I think, what we're looking at is 1.0. I mean, it's the entry level of intelligence. We haven't even reached where this is going, and it's already impressive. Now, when will we see that brain power being placed in some kind of an android or some kind of an assistant? Like now we have our phones now, a lot of the updates in our phones are coming up with AIs. Samsung came up with it. I think Apple is also coming up with it. They're going to basically have your AI assistants as ChatGPT on your phone to ask and do the things and automate things like that. When would you think is going to happen to where that phone is going to be a little bit more mechanical and a little bit more moving? Now, I don't want to say human-like, but a droid-like entity that can actually do physically things, not just mentally.
First of all, there is a wrong perception that always people think robots are AI.
Right.
They're two different things.
No, I know robots are not AIs, but you're correct.
So the physical part, there isn't much investment made. It's only done in shows and exhibition conferences to impress people, because AI by itself is very boring. I mean, even when we work on it, if somebody says, well, show me what you do in an AI, and they're expecting me to show them some flashy things, people moving around, somebody is coming and talking. It's not like that. It's the coding, you sit for days and days, and black screen with some codes going up and down. So that's not something exciting. But when it comes to the conversation, whether it's a voice, whether it's creation of the picture or music or movies, that's where it displays its capabilities. But the mechanical part, when it does it, it's the investment, because end of the day, the people who create AI, they're not doing it as a charity. They want some return on investment. So they're not going to put money. For instance, people talk about robotics going in the stores. I mean, you've seen Amazon and others and taking boxes, bringing them
We've
down.
had that all our lives. I mean, even car plants and automation plants and a lot of things since, 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So this is not something...
Actually, the first inventor of robotic electromechanical was an Arab person called Al-Jazari. You can go and Google it. In 1150 in Baghdad.
Really?
So his invention was about using the robotics for the water and the sea, how to pull it up. So many people think, this is something that came up. I mean, of course, Japanese claim that they came in Tokyo Expo, the first robot. But the idea and the essence came from that time. And you're talking about over 850 years ago.
My goodness.
Yeah. And even the algorithms, the AI itself, who's the father of AI in terms of the logic? Is Al-Khwarizmi.
Who?
Abu Sheikh Muhammad bin Musa Al-Khwarizmi.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, Al-Khwarizmiyat, of course, that's how they teach them. But he invented that, and he lived between 782 to 844.
Wow, doctor, you're giving me information that my mind cannot comprehend. So you're talking about something that's today we're learning about and understanding that's actually been invented over 1,000 years ago?
Yeah, over 1,300 years ago, the algorithms.
Okay.
During Harun al-Rashid's time. And he actually made them a lab called Dar al-Hikmah, Again, all this is documented historically. And he and his students were inventing algorithms. But he had the problem that many others had until the GPU came. The algorithms, if you look at his books, and I do, that is, of course, there are many branches of it. But what he did at the time and what we do now is similar. We're using the same thing. So it's algorithm, which is the heart of AI, is the heart of autonomousness. This is where the machine thinks by itself using algorithms. Nothing but that. But he couldn't progress because he didn't have a machine. So he and his students has pieces of paper every day sitting and scrabbling the algorithms and putting them. I mean, what did the Americans use to go to the moon in the 60s? They used these algorithms, the calculations. Of course, you need to know how much fuel you need to go to the moon and come back, and how much time will it take. So nobody's been there, so you cannot just predict it. So you need a formula to do that, and that was the algorithm. So many of these inventions, even the Romans at the time, when they're calculating the stars, and based on the stars, they were predicting things will happen. They were all using the algorithms. It wasn't like anything called magic or magicians that they were known at the time. That was just a name giving it to be more flashy. But again, as I said, it didn't have the machines to do it. So today with the GPUs, something that we can do in 2-3 seconds, they were used to do it in 6 months by writing them and getting the results out of it. So going back to the heritage and the essence, it is, I always say it, this is Muslims and Arabs are the father of AI and robotics. As two gentlemen just I mentioned, which is very clear history, and it's not something hidden, and are evidence of that.
Is this taught in our schools, in our universities? I mean,
no, I don't see anywhere anybody saying. I mean, they talk about the Khwarizmiyat,
right?
But how this is linked to AI and how it brought, what are the algorithms used, what are these things done? I mean, I was lucky enough to research these because I had I always say there is no science, I may be a bit biased, in this world that doesn't come from the Islamic time.
Okay. But, I mean, isn't that, I'm just trying to think, I mean, doesn't that, having such a history to our society and our cultural region, doesn't it play a role in developing this area? I mean, if we had, is there an Arab chat GPT? Has any Middle Eastern person invented the modern AI system that we refer to as, say, chat GPT or Krog or?
Not in the modern era, because actually even the Arabic data is very poor on the internet. I mean, when you talk about the data, it's all majority written in English, then Chinese, and probably in Indian language and others. Arabic is very poor. And what is available also, those that are available are also translations from English to Arabic. And that is not precisely accurate. That's why more work needs to be done on the data before using, because algorithms, the essence of AI, will be similar to what is used in other places. But we need to work more on the data. So, when I go, and we need more of our own ChatGPT. Now, if I go and say the GPT, or any of them, I'm using GPT as an example because this is one. We call it generative AI. And say, what do you know about Hamis area? Which is the area that we are in. It's called Hamis, right?
Yes.
So it will tell you, go and fetch few newspapers, few online books, and it will tell you very limited.
Yeah, based on what it researched.
What's available.
Yes.
But if you go and tell them about Street 9X5 in New York, it will tell you the entire history, the name of the people live there, the flats, the food that they eat, because of the data. So what we need to do is not to create Arabic version of it, because the Arabic version or translation will tell you the same things.
Okay.
It will still tell you the same information about here and same information about there. What we need is to be able to generate data, to collect data. Then we are able to create many GPTs for each country, but not only for each country, but for each organization. So your organization, if you have so many people, so much data, you would have what we call it the large language models. I don't want to get too technical with it, but ChatGPTs and others are using is, or Gemini are open LLMs that everybody can access or through
Yes.
subscription. But then we need a closed LLMs, which is pertaining to our environment.
How does the closed version integrate into the open version?
Yeah, it will integrate because then the information that it requires from the other parts, it will take it, but the information that is here, it will be provided to certain people, for instance, or certain access level. And I think I'm predicting the future that we will have personalized LLMs. Personalized, that Sameer will have his own LLM that will have your entire data, your history, your friends, your families, your behaviors, your medical. So instead of talking to a friend or wife or anybody else, you talk to this
Wow.
virtual that will provide you with the guidelines based on scientific. It will not be based on benefits, based on the emotion, etc. So this is the future. The future is as we're getting closer, and this is the indications, coming from to countries, going to organizations,
This is
to group of people, it will end up to people. And I'll tell you a little bit later how beneficial that will be for humanity.
so you're talking about even after I leave this world, a part of me and my brain and my thinking will still be alive and communicating with other people who want to tap into it.
Because your behaviors, yeah.
Because of how I integrated with it throughout my whole life and what it learned, and it continues.
I just given you an example of Al-Khawarizmi.
Yeah, yes.
His work is there,
Mm.
and we are using his work. Now, if his behavior of creating that was there, I mean, if he lived, for instance, 300 years, wouldn't he have more inventions?
Oh, yes, of course.
But if we have his style, people like that, to follow, then LLM can follow his guidelines. It will teach to be able to act smartly. Of course, you're not going to have every person in this world, who's going to have a miserable life to follow or to use. But this is where, the things will develop. And these are the things that we know that's going to happen. We don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know what will be the impact. So if people talking about the future, they'll have to talk about these kind of things, not about how the result will be, how the technology will be.
I think it's actually very easy because technically people are doing this already when they're posting things on their Facebook accounts and Twitter accounts and Instagram. They're already documenting the things they're doing on a daily basis, some useless, some not so useless. So once you have your own personal AI, all it needs to do is tap into your accounts that you have to see what you have done in the past, and then continue tapping into the current way that you use it and work with it, and eventually it will be another version of you, a digital version.
And the difference is that the media is not beneficial for the humanity as far as the people's lifestyle without being able to help them to do that. But I'll give you two examples.
Yes.
If I had your record from the childhood and your parents on the healthcare.
Okay. Oh, yes.
What diseases they had, what is running in the family, how many times you went to doctors since your childhood, what medicines you taken, each time you taken a medicines,
Oof.
What operation have you done, what food did you have. So at 30, when you ask an AI, I have a headache, he will tell you this is because of something that you've been doing for the past 15 years. This is run in your family. This is in your childhood you had such things. So it's easier than you just run into the doctor and say, I have a headache. No brainer.
Take
you
Advil, aspirin.
Then even remember your name. So this is how it's going to evolve the healthcare in the future. I mean, this is the benefit. When you look at the education, if you had record of your education from the childhood, from your family history, from the way you've been, all that information, from your friends, the impact, I mean,
all the interactions,
your interactions, what you learned, which books did you learn, where did you fail, and by the time in university, it will tell you exactly what you need to do, what are your strengths, where you should be going.
Now I have a question, but wouldn't that make everybody the same? I mean, where's the identity in human beings?
Of course, it's different. I mean, your health life is similar to your brother. your education is same as the other. Actually, now it is the same. When you send people to university and schools and teach them the same book, why you and me have to read the same book? Why we assume that we have the same interest or same intelligence, and why do we have to go into the same job? Many people in the past, they ended up as friends even in the same jobs.
He's talking about more about customizing to your interest, mindset,
Your
personality,
virtual shadow.
your virtual shadow. How advanced are we here in Bahrain when it comes to AI? I mean, you told me that you're in charge of some or involved in some centers, but what are we doing in terms of educational and in terms of adaptation? How?
Well, I mean, look, Bahrain, I always say, maybe corporates are not charities. They don't go open centers or spend billions just because they want to go somewhere. They want to see how much return there is in that country. So, I mean, of course, when they go to UAE and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia or bigger sisters, there is more opportunity than here. So I've given you earlier our background in the history. Bahrain has always been a pioneer in innovation. And I think, again, since I don't know if it was through you or another talk right from the beginning, 2019, etc., and putting the articles, Bahrain should be the hub for AI for the Middle East.
Yes, AI hub. I remember that, yes.
That's our biggest chance. Because you're not going to bring them, but if you have opportunities around us, the investments that's happening to, with all due respect, many other countries putting their resources there, we have the preference, or should have the preference, to be able to use our products or export our people, or to use our people, the youth who are, I think they're excellent, they're so talented from the universities, to be able to develop AI for those companies. I always say that US, Google and others, where do they develop their AI or softwares? It's in Asia, East Europe, South America, and other countries.
Or Asia goes there and does it there, but it's,
I mean, that's fine.
The mindset and the background is from this part of the world.
Right. But in Middle East, we don't have a center. There isn't none in Middle East. If you look at the entire map.
I think that, the way you're talking about it is, if we don't do something, we're never going to be able to catch up, because at one point the system itself will be self-developing, and the humans are going to be left out. Which leads me to my question: how do we prepare for this? I mean, how do we prepare for this in terms of employment? Because in the same way that the Industrial Revolution changed people from doing things manual to doing things mechanical, but when things became mechanical, there was still human intervention in terms of managing and building those mechanical things. Now we're going into the AI world, and the AI is going to build its own AI. The AI is going to build its own things. Where's the human's involvement in this?
That's why I always say this is not the right comparison, to compare anything that happens in the history to what's happening in AI. There isn't right comparison in that.
We've never had this kind of transition.
I mean, people say
human life.
We had calculators before calculators were writing, and after that happens. We had Excel sheet. No, those are different. Your PC, you cannot compare it to the AI.
Right.
This is an Excel sheet. You prepare. You do a little bit of presentations. But end of the day, who's in control? Who makes the decision? When it's you put the figures and say, well, I'm doing in business well or not, or I change my strategy. That's only a supporting tool. Well, we're not talking about supporting tool. We're talking about autonomous tools that will be coming. Autonomous in different ways and more advanced on how to do it. So that's why we shouldn't be the consumers as much as we developers. Well, consumers, what do we do with the generative AI? You tell me. I mean, you said it yourself. You take it, write me a letter, write me a love letter, do me a presentation, do me a video, do a deep fake. These are all for entertainment, I think, more than.
Well, what do you suggest? What do you say we should do? I mean, give us an insight of how people should be preparing or adjusting or adapting.
I think first of all, AI should go in every single job. AI should be also what we call the low code, that doctors should be able to develop AI without knowing the programming. Should have their own AI. You should be able to have low code in your business with the tools that is coming up to be able to create something more than what is ready. Because those that are ready, I explained earlier, I don't want to repeat them, but different models, different training, the data. So,
but how do I compete? I mean, if I'm doing it, and then somebody else can do what I'm doing because I'm using the AI tool.
No, but is you or, as I said, if you're using the ready-made tools, of course you're going to get the same.
I mean, doctors, how can they compete? Let's say the doctors are utilizing AI, but how?
Well, first of all, the future is that doctors, lawyers, accountants, and any professionals, those with AI capabilities will supersede those without. That's given.
Oh yeah.
So anybody, even the directional strategies of the company. So people who, if you are a good lawyer, but I'm lesser capable than you, but I know how to use AI better, I take your job.
Exactly.
So to start with is not AI taking your job, but the people with AI capabilities will take your job.
Okay, early adapters.
And then early adapters. And then when we get to development of AI, we're all going to be working for AI, if you like. Okay.
Actually, that's what I see.
Yeah, so you'll be all laborers that will use you and dump you, if you like. That's the harsh reality. So for training data, etc. But you have a choice. You have a choice not to be even part of that. So you'll be completely out.
But what will happen to the world labor force, and how do people earn a living?
See, it will differ. It's not one question that anybody can answer. It will be in different countries at different levels. People actually in countries who do not adopt technology are more privileged with jobs. Because they don't have.
There's a lot more labor-related jobs.
They always have something to do.
Yeah.
But the people with advanced technology, they will find themselves in that competitions. And
so you were saying don't advance, don't become too modernized. Take your
when
time.
Your job is going to go to those countries.
Okay. All right.
But I'm saying this is roadmap is going to happen. Plus the industry. So it's not going to be every industry, but it's coming up. For instance, customer service area. That will be very much safe haven for AI to take over. Why do you need like 60, 70 agents doing the same things, answering calls, when you have a bot who can interact with customers better than you?
You're absolutely correct. In fact, just the other day, I had to call my credit card for some assistance here in Bahrain, a bank in Bahrain, and I called them up because I like to interact with people. I know that there's an app and I know there's a website, but I wanted to call. And I was telling the person that I need this. First of all, I had to wait, press 1, press 2, press 3, and then a message, and then an ad, and whatever. And finally, I reached somebody, and then they had to verify who I am by giving me my CPR and all this information. So I already invested about 7 minutes of my time on the phone to speak to somebody. And finally, when it came to me asking the question, I said, "Well, I want to do this, and I would like to do this." And the lady said, "Well, you can go to the app and do it yourself, and go do this. Now, I know this is not AI, but it's part of the intelligence, and I'm just talking about the human interaction." And I told her, I said, "Lady, I've spent 10 minutes of my time on the phone with you. I'm talking directly, customer to the actual bank. There's a live conversation between us, and you're telling me, get off the phone, stop communicating with me, and go do it on your app." At what point? Eventually, you're not going to be needed.
If you were talking to an AI, that behavior, without putting a feedback, without filling a survey form, would be taken into consideration to develop itself. Okay, now you can have 200 calls like yours. It doesn't matter. The call has been answered and closed. Okay, so that's a disadvantage. But with AI, understanding the behavior, customizing it, and continuous improvement, and going to bring. I mean, you're lucky you didn't ask for something else. They will tell you, well, for that, you need to go in person to the branch.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have the authority to give you. I have to go to somebody else who within 3 working days will come.
Right.
But with AI, you will be able to provide all this information. So any information available will be available. I mean, there are many, many examples that.
But I agree with you. I definitely see that the first professions to be phased out is the customer service profession.
Look, if you have a company and you have I will give this example, 5 million dinar operating costs every year, and you spend, let's say, $500,000 on AI, what do you expect your operating cost to be next year? So
5 million overhead to an AI thing, I would say.
So that's $5.5 million already.
Very minimal, because I think.
So you're expecting it to go down to $4.5 million.
Yes, if not. Okay. Yes.
So you want to compensate that $500,000 and $500,000 in saving.
Right.
So where are you going to get that million from? I mean, what's the easiest? So you're going to close branches. Obviously, you want to
listen the
labor force. When you labor the force, the office capacity goes down, the electricity, I don't know, the car allowance, the social. So that's naturally is the area that you're going to do. Nobody's going to spend that much money just to say, well, I have AI, it's nice to have it now.
Yeah.
And I'm putting more money on my burden.
I saw this other video, and again, I keep seeing these things, and because I'm following what you're doing, and once the algorithm knows what I'm interested in, just because of what I'm following you, so it starts giving me things as well. But this one real estate agent lady in UAE, and she's European with an accent. She has a heavy, I think, Spanish accent. Spanish, I believe it's Spanish or Eastern European accent. And a company came to do a demonstration for her in the sense like saying, look, we can automate your messages and automate your customer service. So much so that the AI copied her accent, copied her style of talking, copied everything about her. So it sounded in every way, in terms of the humor, in terms of the accent, in terms of the words she was using, exactly what she would, the same way. So she became, I don't want to say irrelevant, but irrelevant when it comes to the customer service or interacting with the customers when it comes to the phone conversation. It learned her. It just basically learned her and moved it to the next stage.
Since I know the in and out of it, I usually like to verify those videos.
Yes.
You know, some of them are AI generated.
Yes.
Some of them are made by individuals.
Yes, I'm sure there's a lot of
fakeness unless you say
out there.
Yeah, because somebody comes and speaks the same thing and say, oh, well, this is AI doing it and all that. So for me, that's not something I straightforward swallow.
Well, it leads me to my question about cybercrime and security. I mean, how do we protect ourselves from this, from fake and from information and from things being taken away? How do we get ready for that?
Well, first of all, the cyber crimes, the cyber attacks.
Yeah.
Let's take a step back. Who are the cyber criminals?
I mean, it could be tomorrow. Could be AI. It could be themselves.
I'm coming to that. But today, who are they?
It's us humans.
Humans, but intelligent humans.
Yes, it's definitely humans that have knowledge and means.
It's not the same definition of criminals.
No. It's
criminal thieves are maybe some dumb people that have opportunities. I'll go and rob a place.
Correct. There's definitely some intelligent
people also with good jobs, but it says, my salary is not good enough.
Right. Sometimes it's just a challenge. They do it for the challenge. They do it to see if they can
maybe
do it.
As well, yeah. But somebody needs to support them at the end of the day.
Right.
But now they are using AI to do that. So it's not any more people who are doing cyber attacks. So AI with its capabilities, with its capacity, imagine the human capacity in terms of remembering all these patterns that happening in the company, trying to track them, trying to follow them. How much you can do as a human compared to even using the tools, of course, with AI. So there's massive difference.
And speed?
So most of them, speed, of course. Most of the attacks are done by AI-empowered tools. Maybe the human behind it, but they're using AI. So on the contrary, on the other side, how can you defend yourself? With a human?
Get another AI.
Of course.
Yeah. A police AI.
You cannot have me sitting there trying to defend through, that massive attacks by using my limited capabilities, my limited working hours to do so. So even the tools that are used today for cybersecurity, I think if they started already, but if they don't go into that AI level, they will be all dumped and used as fridges.
I mean, to every positive, there's a negative. To every negative, there's also a positive. So just like humans. I mean, it's exactly like us. Those who are can learn faster and do things, those who can't, those who steal, those who don't. I mean, I guess AI is going to be like that in a
Not
way,
on the
or
same level.
how can you control AI?
Yeah, but I mean, the negatives and positives, I said earlier, it's not going to be the same. I mean, it's not going to, you cannot say, well, because one incident happens, I forget all the efficiency that it brings.
True.
You know, and say, well, this is.
But we do that with humans. If somebody did something, if he stole something, then everything that he's done good in his life or her life is down the drain. They're going to go to jail.
Well, that's one-to-one. AI, when you develop it, is not taking a man's job, it's taking thousands of people's jobs in it in terms of literally jobs, but in terms of performing the job. So it is, when it goes right, it's going right on behalf of many thousands or on behalf of so many, you know. When you use ChatGPT or you use Gemini or you DeepSeek, you know, it's not like one-on-one. That's serving, you know, hundreds of millions of people. So there is no comparison between that and a human being going wrong or one-on-one.
What about dependency? I mean, we become so dependent on the AI that we don't want to do anything ourselves. We don't want to teach ourselves. We don't want to think ourselves. We don't want to use anything physically or mentally. Our own personal AI-generated assistant, servant, helper, whatever it may be. And then we become less intelligent. I mean, if I'm going to use ChatGPT today, which is, in my opinion, the primitive version of AI of where we're going to be heading in the future, to do my this and to do that and to create for me something, create this, where's my creativity? Where's my mind? Where's my thing?
Well, creativity is a point of view. I think I mentioned earlier, once certain activity is gone to AI, it will never reverse back. So human being also has, you know, your brain is so many Ks. Okay, it's less than a memory stick. So over many thousands of years, human brain has not expanded. I mean, despite what we see that children has more.
What is it, 10%? Did they say 10?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it has changed any. But that piece of cake, that piece of pie, has been divided into different parts over the years. So in the past, people used muscles, and they were stronger, and they used a little bit of brain, and then they used, so their muscles became weaker. So God created us with certain capacities and capabilities. Now, human being will eventually find other things to do outside that area. But it is those responsibilities have not even been there to be sticking to them. I mean, people, office works, you know, probably fearing that will disappear. Since when it's been in place? End of 1800, white collar came into place, jobs, yeah, and that will disappear. But before that, it wasn't there.
No,
so what were people were doing? They were doing something different, and the blue colors disappeared. And then it comes to a time where creativity. I mean, creativity in the olden days, for instance, a person who was called creative was a scientist.
Yes.
Nowadays, anybody makes a logo is a creative.
Yeah.
Anybody takes a cut on the road is a creative. So what is the definition of that, and what helps do you need to do this? So the nature will take this pattern to go there. Even with AI by itself, if we look at the involvement of AI, I'm not talking about from Khwarizmi's time, or I'm not talking about 60s. I'm talking about even the last probably 8 years that I've been involved heavily in it. It has changed so much, and some of them are laughable that I mentioned. When we start, we have something called RPA, Robotic Processing Automation. This is used heavily in the bankings, that certain tasks that have been performed by the accountants, the AI will learn them and repeat them. But now that is out of the way. AI agents will do that by learning not only how to repeat those tasks, but learn the behavior of the business and think and create new ways how to do it, how to do the bookkeeping, how to do the accounting based on the business. And it will recommend and recreate new ways. And this is
specialized for that business,
for that business,
customized
yeah.
to that need.
So this is something that's nowadays has been talked about, but that's probably until the end of the year. And then actually the biggest forecasters, I come back to that, when you look at the forecast that was done in December 24, on what is the forecast of AI in 2025. They didn't even predict it. So now we are already in the first quarter, it's taking big steps. And I'm talking about the big one, study group. So, but this is the way AI is moving, and this is the human are continuously adapting to it to move. Some jobs will be disappearing and adapting quicker than others. Others maybe will take their time because of the investment, etc. So we see maybe in 5 years' time still the work balances.
Now, what would you say, for example, because the other time I was talking to my sister and her daughter was in the house, and what would you say to people who are, like I was suggesting to my sister, her daughter was coming up with some issues that she was facing and or had to do some things for school. And I was on the verge of saying to her, you know what you could do? You can always go to Chat GPT and immediately my sister stopped me, says, no, stop, don't tell her that. Let her, she has to think for herself. She has to create, she has to do things on her own. I don't want her to utilize any of these things. What would you say to that? I mean, is it an advantage or disadvantage of not using that to...
I'll tell your sister, you can't stop them. I mean, this is like something that's available now for everybody, and you can limit them for certain number of time, but eventually they will use it. In future, I've said it in one of my earlier interviews, the cheating definition will be different. So what we call cheating from ChatGPT is normal in future. If you don't do that, you are left behind. So people, who don't use it is like people who in the past
Right.
were not using calculators. And then I want to calculate with my hands. Why? You have it, just use that. Why do you want to put a table on one page to say what is 45,000 multiplied by 126,000.4? So that's something that's coming and everybody's using it. What it does, it gives you opportunity to do something more important. Now, if I tell you today, whether you go and transcribe our interviews and spend 2-3 days, or get that done, and maybe
10 seconds.
you can do something more important. I said, no, I want to do it because I want to feel like I've done it myself.
Yes, and develop that skill that I'm not going to be
yeah, exactly. And good luck.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Because in terms of the calculator, you're right. Because maybe I'm really good at at multiplications and divisions and all these things because I've memorized it, and I'm like a human calculator. But now everybody with a calculator can do what I'm doing much faster and quicker. And
1,300 years ago, Khwarizmi used algorithms because the Romans did not know how to even calculate. So what you see today as 3 times 4 equals 12, it wasn't the same before his time. It was like writing a full page to know what is this number, because the numbers were not existing as they are now.
They actually had to develop numbers itself.
Numbers and calculations and all that to come up to something. He simplified it and got to that. So now the Romans could sit down and say, no, we don't like your way. We still want to do it our way. And these are the facts that keeps repeating, but probably we don't have visibility to it.
You're saying that, listen to the parents out there, if don't withhold the AI innovation with your children because it's going to happen, and let them have an early start and know how to use it, then rely on just their own personal skills. But as I said, the fear is that they will have no skills and they rely so heavily on this thing, and then there's a power outage.
If they were the only ones you could understand.
Okay.
But everybody else is going on that pattern.
Right. So you'll be left out.
So you'll be left out. So
you'll be the only one without it.
And you're not going to be the only one who have that skills and nobody else knows.
What you're saying is that in your pursuit to become more intelligent, you're actually going to become stupider because everybody else in your pursuit trying to say, I don't want to use this, I want to just develop my own brain skills, and you do develop your brain skills. Meanwhile, everybody else is using this and now they've progressed to another level and you're still held behind by
my question is, what is the definition of intelligence and cleverness and stupidness? There isn't a definition. No. Definition is how we learned it. Yeah. today, as we get, that definition is changing.
Now,
That
speed could be.
the intelligent is something else. We leave the intelligence somewhere else. Intelligent is not to use your intelligent and to use other superficial intelligence. That's the intelligence.
Which is where we're heading with the AI.
Yep.
What kind of jobs do you think are going to be needed in the future? I mean, I can already know some of the ones we've talked about. Custom service is going to be phased out, if not obsolete. But what kind of jobs will they be? We know what things will disappear, or we think we know. But at least if you can give us some insights in terms of what people should prepare for in terms of career-wise, what they should look into right now, and what things that maybe we haven't even thought of that is going to be invented where a skill would be needed.
Exactly, that's the right word, invented. But first of all, the jobs that will disappear will not be replaced at the same numbers. I mean, I'm puzzled sometimes. I see people come and make statements that 850 million jobs will go away, but equally 850 million jobs will come. How can somebody explain to me? You know, you dispense jobs to save money. So you're not going to bring AI. I mean, if I'm taking, just for an example, a customer service who probably gets, with all the respect to them, they are very clever people. They are very hard workers. They do, just no disrespect to position. But if somebody is getting 700 dinar, I say, well, I get rid of them. But I'll create another job with AI, which is 2,000 dinar. What are you going to get the money from? So they said 850 million jobs will go away, but 850 million jobs will reappear.
Yeah, I definitely don't see that.
There is no logic, and that will be a portion of that. But there will be more intelligent jobs. Some of them we don't know the names.
Haven't been discovered yet or invented.
It hasn't been discovered because it is based on the market. Again, I go back to what I said earlier. How much return is on demand, then you create those jobs. It's not necessarily people who are working on AI only. It's the people with the capacity.
Give us an insight. Come on, tell us something that you think, a job that's going to happen in the future that people can be thinking of. What do you think? I mean, for example, mobile phones, 80s, 90s. Now there are shops that fix mobile phones. There are shops that sells accessories for mobile phones. None of these things existed, but they came as a result of some invention. What do you think? What kind of business do you think, or what kind of service do you think is going to happen as a result of the invention of AI and the integration of that? Do you see the future?
Future of that, you'll have to think of the future of the AI. And if the prediction that I disclosed earlier to you, that we will have virtual assistants for every human being. You know, that virtual assistant by itself will take many jobs. Will take the job of the doctor, teachers, of many, for each individual that will have there. But the people who supporting that virtual assistants will be key to the humanity. So the people who are protecting that virtual assistant, people who are developing it, people who are feeding the data with it, people who are maybe going and personalizing it, these are the people who will be, as I said, the key word is people who will be working for AI. I think those are the jobs that will be there. People working for AI. It's virtually working for AI to do the work better for human. Not the people who today we think we need them because they have the community, they have the service, and we have to pay them.
Oh yeah, I'm going to have to think of, if I have an AI boss, what services would he need or she need, or it needs, and how can I provide it? So I'm going to be, I know what I'm going to do on this weekend. There are so many questions that I actually want to ask you. Now, we've actually talked about this, but I've done some research about you as well, and Fintech and AI, traditional banks and neobanks. What's your outlook on this, and how do you think we should be prepared, or what do you think we're going to be seeing in the future?
I think still AI, in banking, we are a little bit behind in this part of the world. Because I think still what services we use as what you used to call telebanking,
right,
or mobile apps, or online banking, these are, I think, far from what we should be thinking of. Or these are at least behind on some of the advanced countries that are working on. take investment, for instance, who makes decisions on investment today?
The board, the CEO,
People,
the
right?
shareholders.
Yeah. Based on
Yeah,
what?
humans.
Based on experience.
Experience, projections.
We'll go back to the PC that we have the data and they
That's right.
analyze it and do it. They also get replaced with the younger people who need as many as years to learn to make the similar investment. Now, that experience to me is all wasted. The people's for the investments mindset is wasted because it's not been taught to an autonomous software that can make similar decisions and improve on it. So we were always under the mercy of those people or at the mercy of the people who make mistakes or calculated wrongly. And of course, they have limitations on how much visibility they have on the market and which part of the market and the future predictions. So imagine with AI having that kind of experience transferred to it and having the data, the visibility, and the volatility of the market, the predictions of the market, reading mindsets, reading behaviors. This is where the investment is going to look like in future. This is how there will be more collaboration with big countries in terms of AI and investment.
Okay, how much of that is also, I mean, we've just recently heard that America's investments in the AI, especially after DeepSeek came up with their version, and America, it's at the forefront, but it believes it's at they themselves have invented these things and they're saying we're behind. And they're starting to invest ridiculous amount of investment into these stations and power plants and areas specifically for AI. When are we going to do this? And also, if we don't do this, are we always going to be at the mercy of the countries that did do this?
Yeah, I mean, you said it rightly. The gap becomes, as I said earlier, becomes bigger.
Yeah.
The people with the AI power and the people without.
Right.
And that's why I said the countries earlier without technologies will be less impact. Today we will have, obviously, as I said at the beginning, us to develop our own AI, our own data, so that in future we can use that for many purposes, for our economies, for decision making, for the well-being, for the children, for the health. And it is very important to start not only developing AI, but the way that the people learn AI or we teach our new generations AI. I mean, it's criminal that.
What are we doing about this? I know you told me that you lecture and things like this with universities, but how much of an actual curriculum, a proper curriculum, consulting people such as yourselves with your knowledge and background, is being placed into the education system for the next generations and so forth? How much of that are we doing? And not just in Bahrain, I'm talking about regionally, because I know your involvement is also regionally. Are we doing it? Are we slowly, gradually?
There is
a plan?
Again, the education system and the higher education is different than what it was in the past. So in the past, we have a lot of people who graduate from universities, for instance, civil engineering, and they go to work and they apply the similar things, one-to-one.
Right.
Because they were taught how they would do it. And they had similar activities. And you had lawyers who, probably practiced on certain laws or regulations. On AI is different. Now, unfortunately, and I'm not undermining again, but I'm saying this for the love of development of students, is maybe we don't have the same level of expertise and lecturers than the practitioners. So it becomes two different things. The theories and practices and AI are two different things. I can sit here until tomorrow and lecture you on how it is done, and by the time I finish my lecture, something else is coming up. And how much that curriculum is updated. So I see now many students are selecting them. There's a difference between students who just follow the lectures in the universities with high mark even, against those who also do similar things, but also have extra efforts from their own side, from their own time, to put in practicing it, developing it, coming with innovative ideas or projects. Not necessarily, you don't need to participate in competitions together, but they need to bring it on board. They need to bring the ideas, because those are the people who will bridge the gap between the two. My job and others is not to teach them directly. It's to motivate others, to inspire others to do the similar things. So it's not. I'm not proud of just being one person or two people doing that. No, we want to create many who can think the same way, bring up the people similar ways to be able to catch up with other countries. And as I said, I'll go back to say, we have the capabilities. By the way,
Yes.
research is looking at Delmontan,
Mm.
and I written 2 weeks ago about Arabic. During that time, 5,000 years ago, Delmon history, they were using technology in one way or other, and the stamps and graves and
Yes.
and the scarfing. They were using different proofs for the trade.
Mm.
Because, how much you paid me, how much is it left, the differences from one to another. These were all the sources of technologies and innovations that lived on this land. So we can always talk about history, but we need to translate it to the present.
Now, I heard Dubai and UAE. Actually, I heard Elon Musk's father is building some kind of a power entity. How trustworthy? I don't know if this is the right question, but how trustworthy is AI? And let's say a company starts up with some kind of an AI services. I mean, how do we know that this company has the best intentions and the data, the information they're gathering is not biased or not false or not misused?
Yeah.
How do we get ready for such?
Well, that's a good question, because first of all, everybody says AI as if we're talking about sharp 21-inch TV, which they all perform well or not. I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of AI models. So we shouldn't just take it for granted. Of course, those ones that are on the top level, international levels that we just mentioned throughout our conversation, those are the trustworthy ones or trustier-worthy solutions. But there are two things. Many people intentionally or unintentionally perpetuate some of the automations as AI. So,
Yes.
automations like
Well, that's,
technology.
I think, just because people haven't quite figured out and comprehended exactly what it is.
As I said, that's maybe bring something that says, well, automate your processes and what you do. It's
No,
close about. But what is even worse, that again, I'm talking about here in Bahrain, but I'm sure this applies to everywhere else, that probably capitalizing on the lack of knowledge by the business owners, by the people on what AI is and what are the details, and learn few technical jargons or bring some copied solutions to convince them these are AI solutions and try to make money out of them. And that's bad. That's bad for AI, it's bad for the business, bad for the desperation. And it could be startups, it could be people who are doing it on a part-time, it could be others. We encourage people to develop AI and do it. But we also tell others, be wary of these people. Really, these are harmful for the development, because once you see some of those solutions, you as a business owner, you completely lose trust in it, and you think all the solutions are similar or all companies are the same.
Protect yourself from this, because at the same time you're telling them, we want you to come and because I don't know, so I'm going to rely on the company that does know.
Yeah, but I mean, there are many logical steps that you have to take. I always do it, but I ask people to ask us. Of course, we are a big center under Risana Sheikh Nasser's center, which we provide the solutions of the highest level. But
people can call you and ask you. I mean, how do they contact you? Do they send you an email? Is it a center?
Anyway,
where's the center, by the way?
In Joe.
In where?
Joe?
Where the prison is?
Ras Hayal, yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's quite a way. That's quite a way.
They don't need to visit, but that's now everyday solution. But we have the responsibility because of the status of the center to deliver at the highest level. But you find people with 2-3 employees, he makes his own company. Tomorrow he can close it and make another one, and he claims that he has an AI solution. But my advice to the business people is, don't go for it until you get a proof of concept, the POC, or you get a demo, or you get some sort of solution that meets your requirements, and you try it, and you look at from different aspects, integrity from the interfaces, try it in different ways from different people, look at the result, consequential improvement over a period of time. It's not something, it's not like a car that you go on a test drive for 1 hour and then you come back and say, I like it.
I wish it is. It would be so much easier.
But it takes sometimes a week. So I always advise people, take your time to make those decisions, although we want you, but with the people who are unknown, take your time, because it could be a catch that you enter and then you can never come out of it, and then you have to spend a lot to try to remedy.
Well, how can I develop myself? How can I prepare myself? What do I look at? Do I read? Do I go? Do I experiment? Do I just use ChatGPT or Grok or whatever? How do you suggest, what would you advise people, the average person that's out there, that's not even in the field, just, the future of humans? How do you propose for them to get ready, and what they should be doing in order for them to be ready?
Well, as I said, there are two different categories here. You're talking about the people who are using it in the business.
No, I'm talking about people in general, and maybe through interest, a business comes out. These are entrepreneurs. Maybe through education and through research or through watching or experimenting, they come up with different solutions. So how do they immerse themselves in this field other than just using TikTok and Instagram and watching what's Elon Musk?
The solution for the future, and I think this is people what should be focusing, is on the no code, no code development, where you don't need probably technical background to be able to develop them. Some of them are just drags and drops solutions where you have the capacity. Of course, there are thousands of them around. Those that you can, and some of them are free. You can try those before going to the subscribed ones. But you can always put non-critical information there, which it's not going to be harmful for you. But end of the day, I mean, all your information are one way or another. If it wasn't using other people's information, you wouldn't be enjoying it today.
Right.
So you don't sit and say, well, I want zero, penetration of my information, but I would like to use everybody else's in the world information to get partially. We will have to collaborate to feed the information to make it more accurate. It's as simple as that. It keeps retraining itself with iterations. So, but also, I'm impressed with people who are also non-technical and have learned it. So this learning curve will benefit you whether you deal with others to understand what they're giving you, or you try different tools to do it. If you want to be a real innovator in AI, then of course it's a different path by itself to learn, to go different courses.
Are there AI specialized schools out there in the world that are, I don't know MIT, but I mean, MIT is it, so like people who say this is the area that I want to go to in the future? Are there well-known schools that have utilized and adopted the AI system model to where this is the place to go to that we should know?
Well, I mean, the students generally now around the world, they do it in a hybrid way. One is they do their uni with the university curriculums in AI, which is a standard, but not necessarily up to date. But at the same time, they take online courses. And there are many online courses with Google, NVIDIA, Microsoft, the people who have, you go and select a course for 8 hours, and it's not continuous 8 hours, and then auto-generated certificate, and they learn, and then they go to other ones. So there are a lot of those courses that self-studying, you don't need lecturers to do that. There are some which you have to go to classes and all that. It's good, but sometimes inconvenient, and not necessarily you have the right caliber teachers to bring you up to self-studies, or sometimes being part of a group. Future, by the way, AI studying groups. The schools will look like that in future. Actually, that you'll have virtual classes with
virtual teacher,
and children from different parts of the world.
Virtual teacher, virtual student. The virtual reality is teaching other virtual reality, and we're just watching, being
And
entertained.
auto-generated curriculums, and auto-generated quizzes, and auto-generated correction of them.
What is needed in a country is it data centers, or is it memory banks, or is it energy? What is actually needed to have to develop an AI center?
I mean, look, there are three elements in every AI. One is the algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the algorithms, I said, you can always use open sources and to reduce your cost. And then there is data as an essence of data that you need it to train it. But to train the data, to store all of this, you need an infrastructure. You need graphic processing units. And those are very, very expensive, as I mentioned earlier. So I always advise not to use the traditional ways of using the full stack. And that has been proven by the recent Alibaba or others who have developed it at lower cost. Google CEO himself, he commanded them, say that's very clever idea to do it. He said it in
fraction
public.
Of the cost.
Yeah. So, we'll have to follow smarter way, not traditional ways. Of course, those ones are there. They will tell you have to use it, and it will be safer, etc. But you cannot afford it, and maybe it's not economically viable to spend that much, and you don't see the return on investment immediately as much as you have spent. So you have to use it in a different category. We call them sometimes fine-tuning. You have pre-built models. It's like buying a new engine for your car. You buy another one and then try to put a few things.
Right, making it work. Now, is there any similar centers being planned, built in this part of the world, in Saudi and UAE, Qatar, Bahrain? Because this is a must. It's not a question of whether we should or shouldn't. It's like whoever has this in the future will be somewhat more advanced and in control of things, and whoever doesn't will be just utilizing somebody else's AI technology advancement. So is there any plans to have some kind of a data center where it houses, because actually I heard something about in Saudi as well, but are you aware of something that's being cooked?
I'm aware of many of them. I mean, Saudi with Google, they're doing one in Eastern Province for the AI centers, but I'm talking about a national.
I don't think we can do it in Bahrain by itself. I think if we
not the centers, but we can have our graduates trained, qualified, to be able to attract them to come and make a center here for the development, not necessarily with the equipment, with the data centers, etc. I mean, when you go to Eastern Europe or Indian subcontinental and others, they outsourcing the work there, or they're bringing them in to do this. And this is the model that we should be doing. One final thing on this subject is, end of the day, AI development for the region requires a cultural and heritage background. And I think with our workforces, Bahrainis understanding the culture of our Arab world, understanding the background, the language are more beneficial to this initiative.
What was the name of the book that you written?
The first one,
Let's Get Futuristic. What's it called?
AI Future of Humanity.
AI Future of Humanity. So this is the book that you're suggesting people should be reading in order to get.
Look, and I don't suggest to read that book, because I stopped writing books since 2000, I think, or 21 or so, because each time I write a book, by the time I publish it, most of it is obsolete. Okay. So I don't. That's why I'm writing regularly now in English and Arabic newspaper, journals, magazines about the latest on AI. So people read it this week and understand it, and next week I tell them something new.
Yes, I guess this is one of those. The AI field is one of those ones that no matter what book you write, by the time it comes out, and by the time it's
and I'm not writing about the history of music or
maybe if we take your book, feed it into ChatGPT, and then tell it ChatGPT to come up with the latest 2025 version of it,
then it doesn't need my book.
Well, it had yours as a base. One of my last questions, Doctor. I mean, it's really been a pleasure having you here, and actually, I can have you here for 3, 4 more hours. There's so many questions also I want to ask, but I know time is of the essence. What's one AI innovation you wish every Bahraini household can use?
Yeah, I would love to see the app of the medical records, diagnosis, because I want to see healthier lifestyle for my fellow citizens, to be able to be acting in advance of, God forbid, any catastrophes in that area, to have the children healthier and sports, diet, etc. To have a kind of monitoring system with advisory at the same time, to be able to do it. And that's I don't think that's impossible.
No, that's definitely not impossible. Although there's a flip side to that. So the more, I mean, this system is telling you the right path, then it's kind of controlling you in some ways, directing you on how to pursue the right way, the right health.
But it's following your behavior, your appetite, your lifestyle. It's not telling you something that you are not. So it looks at you and says, although you do like eating, but the amount of sugar that you use compared to that is not equivalent with the sports or whatever. The amount of time you sit. And nowadays you have wearables that tells you how many steps. What's after that?
Yes, it's
So
just telling you.
It's just telling you.
It's not.
Exactly. It's not advising
not
you.
advising.
It's not enforcing you. It's not praising anything.
Are there any AI success stories in Bahrain that you've personally experienced, see that you're proud of, and some maybe you were involved, some maybe you were not involved? Is there something to?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen many also the first of all projects from university graduates.
Yes.
Yeah, and some of them unfortunately end up with ideas because they work on 3 months, because of the resources, because of the support, they end up there. But the ideas are great, but it's unfortunate that they don't continue working on them, or they don't get adopted by organizations.
Why?
Well, it's simple that they require investment, and they require organizations to adopt it within their system. So it's not like something that you go and say, I like this, and tomorrow we have it. But in the center we have many, and I'm proud that one good thing that even surprised myself, that the graduates at 21, 22, you can understand the way they grasp AI. But what also surprised me, and in a nice way, is that they understand the business as well. They grasp when they sit with the people who are experienced in the business. Because at the end of the day, what is AI? If I don't understand your business and I do something that you don't need it, and I say to you, as a CEO of a company, go and use it. No, understand the requirements. So that conversation of the generations and the expertise converted into AI, that's I'm very puzzled. And I've seen it, honestly, without being patriotic about it, in very few places in the world.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Would you say regionally, which countries regionally do you think are a little bit more?
In terms of talents,
yes,
and innovation, I think Bahrain is number one.
That's really impressive. I didn't expect you to say that, but I'm impressed.
And I can always prove it with the evidences that why we are have so many talents and innovations in terms of the time span, in terms of development. We have those talents.
How many people are in your center? How many?
Well, 16.
16. How can somebody get involved with you? I mean, do they just come and apply and say, or do they have to have some kind of a background or part of the university?
Don't need background. Background and experience is irrelevant.
Yeah. You're going to create it. You're going to create the foreground.
It's one of the jobs that I said in the AI in future, that you don't need a background and experience.
You just need
because you're creating experience and background for others. So sometimes people who are even in IT with the different languages, different software languages, of course, it's difficult for them to adapt to the new ones. And sometimes you have an employee who's 1 or 2, 3 years, but then you have a newer one who's even better than the other one. So it is something. It's like most innovation and R&D centers. People are there to develop while their mind is open and move on, and others come in and do the same thing. So you create an
How would you
ecosystem.
suggest people, if they wanted to learn more about this or get involved with you, or do they come to the centers? Do they give you a call?
They give me a call. I mean,
Right.
yeah. I mean, they can find me anywhere.
Yeah, so yes, they can. You're actually
Yeah, and
very
if I don't
active
do,
in the.
but we also advise them, if as much as you can from our time, whether it's associated with us or others, because really this we care.
You can go to organizations, companies, and
Yeah, you can go
advise them
definitely.
on potential things that they could be utilizing, incorporating into their system. I mean, this is also part of what you do.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, I mean, I do to the community. I start with organizations, the people in charge, to the employees, to the students. Even I've done so many in primary schools, girls and boys primary school, 4th, 5th standard, because I think these are our future.
Oh, they definitely.
Yeah. So telling them, building it in them, I think is more important than telling somebody who's maybe empowered to pay. No, this person is important for us. I also advise parents, because I think they influence the decisions of their children. So they need to understand what does the future look like, to advise them.
Now, are there schools preparing the students for the future in terms of this, or are they still sticking to the curriculum of, this is how you learn math, this is how you learn biology, this is how you learn chemistry? Because, I mean, isn't that all going to change?
It has to, yeah. I mean, even curriculum will be generated by AI. So.
At what point at what point is it, because this is, let's say we're teaching 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, and in 10 years, 20 years, 15 years time, they're going to be in the workforce. I can assure you that in 15 years' time, it's going to be a different type of workforce than it is today.
Look, already started in the UK, Google and Microsoft. Maybe in future, we don't need people from universities. Why do, if you're teaching them from 3rd grade AI, and by the time they go 12th grade, they had so much that I don't need them to go to university. Well, why they waste time? They are ready to go to work. They are ready to go if they have had that much of experience and practice. So between 17 and 21, it's not much difference. The maturity has changed.
Yes.
At this generation. So
skill level.
As I said, the companies are taking the talents and bringing them in. They don't have to wait. It's like football. Those days say when you're over 22, you are allowed to play first team.
Right.
Now people from the under 17, they come and play.
Right. Oh, 14, 15 had
that. So this is how we're going to see the future. So we have to prepare and take out of the mindset that they need to finish university, masters, I don't know, and then they come.
Actually, I don't know if this is even, but you know how Elon Musk is involved in trying to organize efficiency in the U.S. government. And the people that are against what he's doing, they're saying, oh, he has kids working and trying to figure out how to do things. And they're just kids. They're just 20-year-olds. But I'm thinking, actually, those are the ones that know the most how to use the system and how to prepare the system, because it's not the 40-year-olds or the 50-year-olds.
No, that's the smart.
It's the 20-year-olds that are actually, or even the 18, 19-year-olds, because what they're being exposed to and what they're doing is really a lot more
transparent, actually.
Transparent and latest.
But I mean, they don't have any agenda behind it.
Correct. They don't have an agenda. Doctor, it's been a pleasure. It really, and I'm going to have to ask you to come back, because this is because what we're talking about right now, maybe by the end of the year or by next year, we're going to have to talk about it's obsolete. So then we're going to be talking about the different. Maybe we'll have an AI system with us that we can maybe interview it with you as well at the same time and have a different entity.
God gives you health and.
Thank you. It's really been a pleasure. We loved having you over here, and believe me, I'm going to ask you to come. So please accept next time also when I ask you to come. And thank you again, Doctor. Really, it's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me here. All the best.